So much hardship. Everybody's story up here, one way or another, has been infected by this virus. This virus of dictatorship, I want to call it, because there's some insecure people who are given this power position, and you can tell when they come up to you and tell you your vote don't matter. How embarrassing. Illuminating ignorance at its peak by saying your vote don't matter, forgetting they came to your window and campaigned saying, will you vote for me? Well, they certainly acted like you were their boss at that moment. Pretty convincing. That happened to me. And I've come to these council people for a reminder, like, do you remember me voting you in? And this just breaks my heart. And when we have these repeated moments, because I hear that up until the OMAC meeting, I had never been to a membership prior. That was one of the most beautiful moments I've ever experienced in my life. Besides having my 5 kids, my 3 businesses, my wife, the moment of all of us coming together as one, with the attitude of not letting pride, which all of us do have, behind closed doors, as long as you know that it's not me the one saying it, as long as you're not worried about the other person finding out you're the one saying it. We have been oppressed so much. I don't know anybody who was accountable behind what they heard. Everybody, it's a virus. I heard this, I know, I heard the same thing. But all of this negativity is just all the reaction of a reactive mentality. Reactive mentality is everybody talking and not really, whoa. Reactive thinking is negative and it's oppressive. Reactive thinking is looking at a cup that's halfway filled with liquid, and a reactive thinker will say that cup is half empty. We are all in here together tonight as one, being proactive. We are feeling it as a confederated tribe. We aren't looking at our last names, taking too much pride in our last name, which creates this foggy vision of we are not the same. We are the same. And this is why it's pretty hard to manage, because some of our council people, the way the structure is set up, it's set up to have an easy day at work. If all you have to do is say, what you going to do, administration? What are we going to do? Please give me some numbers. What are you going to do? I got things to do. I got places to go. There is no priority. There isn't no pride in saying, I want to be chosen here to convey I am a leader. There's nobody who there's no conviction. I've heard it mentioned earlier. If you vote behind something, and if you disagree with something, I've been to a few of those meetings. Although I saw later that they voted against, when I was in that chambers, all I saw was, and those people who had kind of an idea what they wanted to do, who were voting for, they were speaking. So it was plain and clear to me to see, I already know who's voting against. Although they're not conveying it, but they're definitely displaying it by just sitting there going, My 15-year-old daughter, I brought her to one of her first meetings. And it breaks my heart because she saw it. In my household, I raised my kids to have pride in themselves. I'm consistent about when I tell them no one time about a situation, that I follow it up another time. Even if I have to tell them 10 times within a half hour, I'm consistent. I don't get broke down, because the idea of being consistent is what keeps us strong. And that's what the kids respect. And that's what culture, and that's what brings kids to be stronger. And when I brought her to that meeting, all she could say was she was embarrassed. And prior to that, she came up to me sad, or came up to my wife, and she was saying that she was sad. And I asked her why. And she said she was sad because she was going to go and get herself an education. And I thought, well, that's good. Go get yourself an education. Nothing wrong with that. What's so sad about that? Well, what was sad was because she said she wanted to go get her education, but she didn't want to come back home and use it. For she was afraid she would be looked at as through envious eyes, through jealousy eyes. and she knows she wouldn't have a chance. She witnessed people with miles and miles of education get fired without cause within their probation. This kind of stuff is due to the fact that there is lack of confidence to stand there and say, we will be able to be behind our decision 100%, whatever we vote on. There's none of that. And when she witnessed it, it made me feel more and more responsible. I'm 37 now, to realize that my kids are getting older, I'm getting older. It is time for our people to start standing up and having courage. And what's most embarrassing too, is to have someone in our council chambers tell me, as if they didn't have a solution, no answer. Ferg, it's getting scary. We're almost terminated. Defeated when they expressed this to me. And look, to me, if something like that, I'm getting the drawing books. I'm not getting no sleep for 3 or 4 days straight. I'm figuring out how to knock this out. I reach for my creativeness. I reach for my faith. I reach for belief to understand that I'm just not going to sit here and take this. But, you know, sometimes I do get complacent. Sometimes we all need a jolt. I've been fine. I mean, you know, on the back of my mind, always knowing that, you know, there is a little void in me. And it's important to me when I take the time talking to my customers who are tribal members, non-indigenous, it doesn't matter to me. We all have hearts. And whenever someone, I can feel their aura, or they feel like I can see something, I'll ask a question, what's wrong? Because to me, there's not enough people who take the time out of the day to ask somebody what's wrong. We are so quick to talk about why this person isn't this or why this person isn't that. That's a natural behavior when you're always oppressed, or you got the mentality of a reactive thinker. But as we all are here tonight, here in Keller, I'm from OMAC. I'm excited because when I spoke in OMAC, I asked everybody if they could feel it. And I've been getting lots of feedback because I am feeling it. I am believing. And I see we can follow it up with the plan. We're doing it with the districts coming together, and I think if we follow through that, we decide maybe out of each district that we choose someone to run these meetings. Perhaps organize that. We continue maybe doing this once or twice a year where all the districts under the same umbrella come together, and then we all come together as just all the districts together. That would feel neat. That's what I envision. And I envision in 2-3 years, this movement being so powerful that there is going to be a new change. Because when we come together as tribal people, as one nation, to decide what's the best interest for us, and not feel no confidence or because of our lack of education, to have to ask the advice of a non-indigenous member to have their decisions affect our tribal people. To me, I think we would progress a lot better if we look into a tribal member to understand what it is we go through, our hardships. And I hear it, it's scary, because this is something, when I said I've never experienced a negative membership meeting yet. Like I said, my first one, I mean, I was blown by the way everybody just felt like there was a smile from ear to ear, and everybody was communicating. And I wish I could have stayed through the whole thing, but my family was hungry, we had to get going. But we followed it up, and we went to Nistalem, and driving to there, I wasn't sure how things were going to turn out, but I have confidence, I have faith, and I realize it is time, as myself coming up here to talk, this is moving, because to show our elders, to give them faith, because they're sitting there stepping up crying. Will someone please step up? Will someone show us that someone knows how to use their brain? Instead of us reading about you in the paper, letting some alcohol-related situation, nothing very, very positive, and there's not enough emphasis on it. But it's important that we understand that this movement